the ESL. Oh, sorry. I'm so used to being in the studio. Welcome back, everybody, to Xfinity Hearthstone Cup. We have a next match coming up. Who do you have, Monk?
We have Forsen versus Orange. So not only do we have Forsen boys and Orange boys, we have Swedish boys, in fact.
That's going to be really fun. I guess it's an opportunity for Forsen to continue to build up himself more as a tournament player. People kind of underestimate him all the time. I say that Forsen is one of the most underrated players in competitive Hearthstone because people write off his antics as a player they don't take seriously, but he's still a really good competitive player. Of course, the winner of that will go on to play Dog, who just defeated Nadia in a really tight series. Monk and I were just talking about that last Mage vs. Mage game and how a little small differences, like for example, if it was one of the Whirling Blades, Nadia might have won because she was 1 damage off at one point. But even more importantly, she snuck in a lot of damage where we thought maybe it wouldn't work out, but ended up being a case where maybe she could have won the game despite having a bad start.
Yeah, she instead of going for more board control centric, she did go for those more attacks to the face. So yeah, in the end, like you said, it was 1 damage off. So yeah, might have been correct, just taking the more aggressive approach. And actually, it contrasted a bit with how Nadia played the previous games. For example, against Rogue, when she was playing Rogue, she played slightly more defensively. So
yeah, that's right.
we can't really, from what we've seen today, we can't really characterize her as more of an aggressive player or more of a defensive player. She just goes with whatever she thinks is best in the current situation.
I like that. I like that she brought different styles. And overall, a job well done in Nadia, but Dog did end up winning that series and going on. And maybe keeps the Frodan predictions alive. I'm 2 for 2. I predicted Dog to beat Nadia. I predicted Lothar to beat Savitz. And I'm right so far. You made some very reasonable picks, too. You said Savitz defeating Lothar, not only because of the Team Liquid camaraderie, but also because Savitz is a really scary player.
Yeah, I was just kind of going with the front-runner pick in that instance, but I did root for some underdogs. For example, I do have Trump going over Hyped, and I actually have Trump going to the finals of this tournament in my fantasy bracket. That's right.
Monk predicted Trump to go to the finals, and the reason why we're talking so much and even talking about our predictions is partially because half this tournament's prize pool is actually going to the fans who can predict it correctly. We have 10,000 for the players and 10,000 for the fan that can get the perfect prediction onto the bracket. So a lot of money potentially going to the way, even more than the winner. If you guess the bracket correctly, you get more than first place of this tournament. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, who says Hearthstone is all invitational? This is a completely open tournament.
This is completely open where anybody can win more money than the first place finisher for less work, I'd have to say.
Yeah, like filling in a bracket, we just did it ourselves, so yeah. And we're pretty lazy. We did this in like 1 minute total, right?
Right. Absolutely. So let's take a look at Forsen's and Orange's lineup. We have Druid, Rogue, and Hunter versus Druid, Druid, Mage, and Hunter versus Druid, Rogue, and Hunter. Now, the only differences between the classes Mage and Rogue, and a couple of things that stand out to me. The first is that Forsen sticking with Mage. It's a class that he's always played, and I think he likes bringing Freeze Mage, so I'm interested to see. The second is that Druid, once again, is being picked for both these players.
Yeah, like we said in the beginning, Druid and Hunter, they're probably the 2 classes that most players are going to pick. We had kind of like a bet going on how many players would actually bring Druid to this tournament. I said probably around 14 out of 15 total players. But so far we've seen pretty much 6 out of 6, so we're on track for that record.
Right. Mage in the meantime, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 6. Rogue, 1, 2. And Hunter, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
so 4
with the one odd warrior being like kind of the odd pick out of the bunch. Yeah. Oh, we had a warlock too from Savitz.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, so Savitz definitely bring like the kind of different classes, but
I liked it. You know, I was talking about how I think his picks were anti-Kazan Mystic, and really specifically being able to beat the Hunter and the Mage decks with Warrior Warlock, but didn't end up working in his favor, as Lothar was able to beat him 3-1. So let's take a look at the first game here, Hunter versus Hunter. I personally really like going first in this matchup as long as you have the curve to back it up. So having Worgen Infiltrator already is a pretty huge advantage here for Orange.
Yeah.
Then again, with Unleash the Hounds, with Knife Jugglers, a lot of things can change in the course of the first few turns.
Yeah, I completely agree. Going first in this matchup, I feel, is really nice, especially because of the potential Glaive Zuka value you can get out. When you're going second, you're not necessarily guaranteed to get that value. But like, let's say you played Worgen Infiltrator here, like almost certainly Glaive Zuka, if you have it also in your hand, is going to get a lot of value. Wavezuka is also a card that just gets a lot of value in this matchup because it trades very well with all the minions that your opponent has. Like in a control matchup, for instance, where your opponent is just playing big 5/5s or like 8/8s, like Wavezuka probably won't get that much value into trading your opponent's minions. But right here, you're going to be able to kill like a 2/2 Mad Scientist or a 2/1 or 2 Worgen Infiltrator.
Sounds good. So let's take a look at the immediate hand here. Mad Scientist coming down does end up complicating things just because of how Explosive Trap ends up interacting. But this is the disadvantage that Forsen naturally comes up with. Because he's one mana behind and his opponent takes the initiative on the board, his Mad Scientist will naturally have less impact if Orange gets to pick the right trades. So that's why, personally, like, we were talking about having that advantage. Because before, having Explosive Trap usually disincentivizes chargers from being able to go to the face.
Yeah, now it's kind of like a game of chicken in right now. Who can who has to attack into his opponent's minions first? And that's definitely going to be Forsen, because we do see a Misha being summoned by Orange. Probably one of the, maybe the best one? I'm not really sure.
Is he I guess he's reconsidering if he's just going for the face, because then Misha gets higher impact value for sure. Stops the bow, most likely will stop his opponent's animal companion.
Yeah. What that trade I think tells me is that there's possibly a snake traps in this deck as well.
And he also tests. Oh, sorry. He's about to test, and he sees snake trap.
Oh,
freezing trap. Wow.
Well, that's very interesting. It's also very good because now now Forsen won't be guaranteed a trap from that Mad Scientist.
Well, you know, interestingly enough for him, he still has that trap.
Yeah, we were talking to Colento actually recently at the EU versus CN tournament, and he said something interesting about this matchup in that he actually thinks Explosive Trap is better than Mad Scientist in this matchup because it's more proactive and it can actually deal with your opponent's threats right there and then, whereas Mad Scientist, it takes at least one turn to activate.
Yeah, very meticulous care is being taken by Orange to make sure to sequence things correctly. Don't want to put that Wolf Rider down and then attack. And the 3 damage does get in, so he still has that Misha on board, and even attacking once, it's such a big deal. Unleash the Hounds is an excellent card, though, to pick up.
Yeah, especially with Wavezuka. Wavezuka will probably buff one of the Hounds, which is what you'll want.
I guess it's inconsequential either way.
Yeah. Or you can go with the Abusive Sergeant here.
How long does he want to hold on to that coin, though, for?
Yeah, it's exactly like you said. Going first is so huge that you don't even use the coin sometimes. I think he can kind of try to plan out his future turns, and yeah, I like the coin here.
Yeah, I think so, considering that you just want to maximize the damage you can get. And even though he loses 1 damage onto that Hound, you know, making sure to keep that Worgen Infiltrator to damage as much as he can is big. But that's where this Explosive Trap is also a problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, Forsen kind of gets punished for putting out a full board here.
I'm just waiting for the Flare. Who was it that was playing Flare the other day and it actually worked out exactly how they intended? I think it was Gara. Gara put Flare in his Hunter.
Of course.
And then it just like happened to destroy whoever he was playing against. I can't recall at the time, but it was like, why do you have Flare in your deck?
If it were anyone, it would have to be
Because what
Gara.
happened is, no, this was what happened. It was Kazan Mystic stole Gara's Explosive Trap, and then Gara flared it. That was the icing on the cake. Because normally the trap would have stopped the charger, but he flared and then Arcane Golem.
Did you talk to him about it? And was that
no?
What actually that was for?
It was a complete surprise to me. I had no idea he was doing that. But you know, that's so Gara.
Yeah, we have. I know a lot of Chinese players, the reason they put their own Kazan Mystics into Mech Mage, for example, is not to steal the opponent's secrets, but to actually steal the secrets back from the Kazan Mystics of their opponents. So Flare kind of works in the same way, right?
Yeah. Forsen is very far behind the health count, and with Leroy in hand, it's a scary moment. Oh, but that's not a good draw here for Orange. I mean, the second Owl, he already had an Owl.
Yeah.
The second Owl is just sitting there dead.
I mean, at least this Owl has a target. This is probably the best target in the entire deck to Owl anyway. Unless you're targeting like a Misha. It's for lethal.
Yeah. Would you play this other Owl just so you get more damage on the board? It actually threatens lethal next turn, right?
It's like it's like a Worgen Infiltrator without the stealth. So
hey, don't bully that Mad Scientist, man. Oh, Kill Command. Doesn't really do much here. In fact, Forsen has to clean up the board a little bit or he dies, right? But I don't think he will. It's not the winning play to clean it up. You have Leroy and Kill Command in hand. So that's it. Orange will take the first game just based off of the the sheer damage inside of his hand here. Leroy is just enough with the hero power.
Yep, there it is. Forsen thought he might have been able to survive,
Yeah.
but yeah, just the Leroy Jenkins is just too much, just by itself with the hero power.
I mean, we could look at Leroy, but overall it was a lot. You know, the fact that Orange went first, the fact that he curved out well, the fact that he was able to stop Forsen's charge with the explosive trap again. So there's multiple things going in his favor there that were able to stop it.
Just kind of like a build-up into that entire game.
Mm-hmm. And in the end, it was a gamble of how to use that coin correctly, because that's usually one of your saving graces. The fact that you can squeeze out the coin, maybe an extra 1 drop, get like 4, maybe 6 damage in, and as a result, get really ahead and force your opponent to trade.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate that that Orange did have the explosive trap in his hand, or that Labrador probably would have gotten in at least 4 damage in.
He had to deal with 2 explosive traps, yeah, 1 freezing trap and 1 explosive trap. That was like the big mix-up, because then the Mad Scientist couldn't get out the explosive trap and stop the damage, because then the Misha got the 4 damage in.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like these small nuances where, like, now that Forsen has the knowledge and he can guess, well, he can make a better educated guess, because before the freezing trap definitely caught him off guard, and as a result, it wasn't the right play that ended up punishing him.
Yeah, so what do we have left for both these players?
So the Hunter is gone for Orange. So Forsen has Druid, Mage, Hunter versus Druid and Rogue. You know, the fact that Orange is pretty proficient with the Rogue is one of his favorite classes. Also one of his criticism from his teammates saying, like, Orange, you have to learn how to play other classes than Rogue and Warrior. And Orange is like, all right, fine, maybe. And that's where, like, by a game, if he had to play Priest, you know, sometimes people are like, yeah, it looks like a fish out of water.
Well, more than that, Amaz was first forced to play Rogue, right?
Yeah, that was awesome, too, you know. And Amaz is one of the first to admit that he doesn't really particularly like or is good at Rogue. So that's why I thought the format was cool as a one-off. Yeah. Game number 2 will be Mage versus Druid. If Forsen goes for the Freeze Mage, he's in a difficult spot. But if it's a Mech Mage, he's in a pretty great spot. Yeah,
we've seen Forsen is a player who like kind of 50-50 likes to play both kind of decks, and that's really effective because we saw from the Pinnacle on Pinnacle 1 when Tice was playing against Forsen, Tice actually kept Ragnaros the Fire Lord in his opening hand, expecting Freeze Mage from Forsen, but in fact it was a Mech Mage.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious, and I actually tuned out halfway through that game. What happened? Did Tice end up winning?
Forget.
Yeah.
I kind of fell asleep during that game.
I do know that Tice ended up advancing to the runner-up match, where also because I was tuning in and out. I saw him playing for the second place
I think
spot.
Tice still won that game because he still got an insane draw with Ancient Watcher into Owl.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So Druid versus Mage. If it's that Freeze Mage, I'm looking at the Druid to put on a lot of pressure. If it's Mech Mage, which it looks like it's Tempo Mage,
yeah, so
then that Mirror Entity is still problematic for Druid.
Forsen is just borrowing a page out of Lothar's book right now.
Right.
Both bringing
I
Tempo
like it.
Mage. Yeah.
I like it. It's a good mix-up. Most people will come to expect Freeze Mage from Forsen.
I wouldn't even fault Forsen for keeping Mirror Entity in his opening hand because pretty much every Druid minion you're going to get good value from Mirror Entity.
Ooh, but you have a Wild Growth start for Orange. A coin Wild Growth.
Is that not the perfect hand for Druid?
So, because you have 2 shades, would you Innervate Shade, Coin Shade, and then Wild Growth? Or is it better to Coin Wild Growth, Shade, and then Innervate whatever you draw? Or I guess you're waiting on the first draw of the turn. Yeah.
There's just so many ways to do everything. But yeah, like you said, definitely waiting on the first draw, seeing how you can curve out the rest of your hand as well.
Mm-hmm. And that's not what Forsen wanted to see. He tossed away Mirror Entity so he can get Scientist or something else, and more spells with Sorcerer's Apprentice. But that's not what Orange wanted to see either. Getting to the Force of Nature. Alright, so yeah, I think if there's no actual end turn in sight or end game in sight with the Innervate play after Wild Growth, just play it with the Shade.
Yeah, I like this play against maybe Freeze Mage and Mech Mage, because against Mech Mage you're putting a minion on the board that can contest your opponent's lots of 2/3s. Against Freeze Mage you just want him to grow a bit more, but against Tempo Mage I'm not really sure what's best here. So
yeah, and Flame Cannon is actually one of the cards that can deal with Shade too, interestingly enough. So it's worth evaluating. If you Wild Growth here, you also can put out Druid the Claw next turn. Or you can still Shade and Drew the Claw. It still opens up a world possibility. Forsen is not happy, though. Seeing that Innervate Shade into Wild Growth is one of the deadly combos. All right, but Mana Worm is definitely one of the better cards you could have drawn here, for sure. Considering that his opponent Wild Growth, most likely whatever he plays will get some pretty decent value.
Yeah. Now, Orange has a slight decision to make. Does he play around Mirror Entity? And I feel like you do have to. You can still save the coin, and that's going to be still fine because you'll be able to curve into Druid of the Claw and Ancient of Lore in the coming turns.
What's so funny, too, is that Mirror Entity, like a copied Shade through Mirror Entity, grows faster.
Yeah, it's better than the original Shade, right?
That's right.
It's just another argument in favor of cloning.
Yeah, I guess I can't argue with you there. He's got so much damage. Should he just start attacking with the Shade? He holds.
Maybe he's playing it around like the same attitude that Lothar is playing it, playing kind of for like the more value matchup instead of just being very aggressive in general.
That Druid the Claw, if it comes down, will get punished by a Fireball.
Yeah, but what can you do?
Well, you
Play
could
the
have Sludge
Sludge Belcher?
Belcher
That's true.
instead, which, of course, it's very easy for us to make that observation. You know, it's a 3-2. At worst, it's even.
Yeah. I mean,
too
it's
crazy.
it's actually better than some options like it doesn't get Hemming Messing Wade.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Whereas if it were,
Are you talking about the tweet that I had where like I played Druid of the Claw and Taunt, and someone played Unstable Porter and Hemet Nessingwary?
let's say that I was.
Destroyed me.
Let's say that I was.
Because I was really salty after that, man.
Well, I'm just comparing it to like a Bloodfin Raptor, for instance, right?
Yeah, that's true. Fair enough. That would have been so funny, dude, if that happened, though. Oh, God.
It's just like that guy who is doing
It just happened 2 days ago, Monk, and you're reminding me.
I was just saying, it's like that guy who's doing the Black Rock Mountain Challenge, and his like opponent, the computer, the AI, he played Deathwing, and then he got Unstable Portal into BGH.
Yeah. Pretty sick.
Pretty fortuitous.
Orange has a couple of lines of play. There's no secret up, right?
There's not a secret
if
up,
he
no.
plays his Ancient of Lore, he can draw cards. Now, the problem is there's damage that could be staring him the opposite direction. Should he start using the Shade to trade? See,
Well, I think he has to think about what other
5,
types of
11.
trades he can make in the following turns.
Yeah, good job killing off the Sorcerer's Apprentice to prevent any easy mana. Oh, man.
So you really want to play this Emperor,
Yeah.
but I feel like this board is, you just have to ping now.
But Shade is relatively, dangerous. It's 5 attack, or 5 health, rather. How does Drew deal with it easily? Has to spend more than just swipe.
I think...
Whoa, another hold.
I think I might have liked attacking there because only the Keeper punishes you, and if he Keepers, he has to fill the rest of his mana up with a 3-drop, and you know your opponent has already played both Shades, so he can't really fill it up that easily unless he has an Innervate with that as well.
Okay. I see what Forsen wants to do, though. He wants to Loatheb so that his opponent can't answer the Shade.
Okay.
Okay, so this does make sense here, and he's going to try to use Loatheb to leverage the Shade of Naxxramas to be unstoppable. Unfortunately, that Shade of Naxxramas was like the last thing he wanted to see. Or sorry, the Sludge Belcher was the last thing he wanted to see because the Shade has a really difficult time impacting over 2 turns.
Yeah, we see an instance here where we have Emperor Thursday, and I believe this is the first Emperor Thursday we've seen, right? No, Savit's played it earlier.
Right.
But it's actually not being played out immediately from the opening hand. So the question is Emperor Thursday not that OP?
See, I said that, and then Amaz was like, "Yeah, I don't know, Frodan. It still seems pretty broken to me." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I guess it's still too early to say."
Yeah, what I have to say is, I definitely think it is too early to say. We can't really talk about
All we know is that
nerfing
it's
it at
good
this point.
when it works. But, I mean, if we're talking about what's good when it works, we thought, Loatheb was broken and ended up being a card that was reasonable and not like game defining all the time.
Yeah, it might not be Loatheb, but it could possibly be Loatheb, but it's certainly not Trogzor the Earthnator. That was a card that had so much hype at the beginning of GVG, but everyone played it in the first few tournaments in the first week. But Striker was like, no, I'm not going to play that card. I'm going to play Dr. Boom instead. And I feel like winning tournaments, you know.
But let's be fair. If Dr. Boom didn't exist, would people run Trogzor?
Yeah, I feel like probably still no, because I feel like the weakness of, like, they're not really they're kind of competing for the same spot, but they kind of fill two different roles. One is way more aggressive, while the other is like, okay, I win if it's a win more card, basically.
Fair enough. Man, that shit in X-Ramus has gotten so big.
It's been eating its Wheaties.
Absolutely.
Drinking its milk.
That's so much damage, too, coming the opposite direction, and you're not in danger of the combo. Forsen has turned this game around. I really like how he's thought about a lot of these possibilities. Sure, he could have snuck in. Actually, funny enough, if he snuck in that damage to the Shade that one turn, he would have won. But I still think the consequence is the same because Orange is under a huge amount of pressure here.
Yeah, it might just speak a bit about how difficult this matchup is for the Druid player, even though Orange, essentially he got the best start possible with Shade, Wild Growth, another Shade,
Innervate.
An Innervate, yeah.
And a Curve.
Yeah,
follow it up.
and a great Curve. Yeah, he's still kind
and
of...
Ancient of Lore.
Yes, we can't forget about... Yeah, basically all the good cards of Druid on a Curve, which is essentially exactly what Druid wants, but he's still falling quite far behind.
All right, Pilot Shredder. Dropping the Auto Barber, not really much here. And probably has to go for the full clear in some capacity. It's just a little damage inefficient, too.
It's very damage inefficient.
Yeah.
So actually, is this a position that Orange can actually come back from? And I have to say, probably yes, because 2 Fireballs have been used and a Frostbolt has been used. So what other direct damage is there?
Not much.
Dragon's Breath.
Ooh. Yeah, Dragon's Breath. That Mirror Entity is not necessarily what Forsen wanted because that Mad Scientist could have fetched it. Is there another secret that maybe Counterspell?
Yeah, there could be Counterspell. Usually in these types of decks, there's 2 Mirror Entities and either 1 Counterspell or 1 duplicate. Oh man,
well,
1 mana Mad Scientist.
So you're going to remove this. You're going to give him the Pilot Shredder. Swipe can definitely help you clear the board here. You swipe the Pilot Shredder, and then whatever comes out, you most likely be able to kill it off. And you have a Pilot Shredder remaining. This is definitely very doable, like you said. But Forsen, all he has to do is draw a Dr. Boom.
What do you actually swipe here?
Don't you want to swipe the Pilot Shredder?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Swipe the Pilot Shredder, and then use the Kazan Mystic to attack whatever's remaining. Unless it's a Neutron. Oh, never mind. You still got it if it's a Neutron. Okay. Wow, that actually works out pretty convenient.
Yeah. There's not many minions that would allow the Goblin Auto Barber to survive and also kill at the same time. Like, if that were like...
Oh! Oh, baby, a double. That's not really what Forsen wanted to see at all, and this is Orange's opportunity to commandingly take a lead, especially if he picks up Ancient of Lore.
It's
okay.
Yeah. You're actually only afraid of Frostbolt at this point, so...
Right. But here's a tricky thing. You actually can't hero power that thing down, because you go to 4 health.
Yeah.
No, you go to 3 health. 5 health. You're actually fine.
So you can actually afford to hero power it down.
I was calculating the health he has right now. Is there any secrets remaining in Forsen's deck, by the way?
Yeah, like possibly a counterspell. So, is he going to actually attack this, or...?
He should. That would be amazing if Forsen just has Dragon's Breath. Oh, man. Is that Sylvanas going to be like the big game changer? Because that's a really big minion.
It very well could be. Whoa, actually, Forsen's going to attack him here? So is there another secret? No, just...
Well, imagine if there was duplicate and you had duplicate Sylvanas. That'd be crazy. All right, pinging his opponent just in case he has opportunity for Frostbolt reaching. Lotheb is unfortunately too expensive to play with Sylvanas.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in Orange's position, he knows Forsen will be able to steal something by attacking into the Druid of the Claw and then pinging his own Sylvanas.
Or even worse, Frostbolt can go through and he dies. So Frostbolt goes through the Druid of the Claw. That's something that Forsen was also paying attention to. Very, acute at the moment. I like a lot of his plays so far.
Now the real question here is, does Forsen play around the Pilot Shredder dropping something that like Direwolf Alpha, for instance?
Oh man, is he really trading it in? That'd be so painful if something pops out. What if like a 4-attack minion pops out? Then you actually just lose. Oh man,
let's see what this is.
I would hate to be orange in this position.
Oh
No, not Pagel. That's actually pretty relevant too.
Yeah.
What if he draws a card off Pagel and starts getting into Dr. Boom?
That's still pretty insane.
All right, his only hope is that this Sylvanas can bring it back, and we'll see if this Pagel is a good Pagel or is it a Frodan Pagel. Oh, it's a good Pagel. And Frostbolt.
It's a great Pagel.
Wow.
So
This is nuts. All right. So do you play the Kazan so that you could pressure? Because he's going to try to kill off that Pagel 2 as a high priority.
Yeah.
You saw him play a Kazan Mystic. There's no way he's playing 2.
That's true. No. Orange was the one that played the Kazan Mystic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Orange is not going to play 2 Kazan Mystics.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So you wouldn't steal it back.
Could you just keep her your own Sylvanas here?
Is that too cute? I feel like that's a little bit too cute. Oh, it is too cute, because if he keeps his own Sylvanas, he dies. Frostbolt plus the ping.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no!
He's going to go for it.
Orange, he doesn't know.
But he's going to silence. Okay, yeah.
Oh, but that's game, and Forsen's going to just barely cross the finish line with Frostbolt ping for 9 mana. Wow, that's really tough. Like, you can't play around everything. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, it was basically a 1 in 4. Like, there were, not a 1 in 4, but there were 3 damage cards already used by Forsen in that game. So Orange was just playing that 1 card and the entire library of Forsen.
All right, so 1-1. Mage is gone for Forsen. That's Druid Hunter versus Druid and Rogue. And what a tough finishing moment there for Orange. Just like, he looked like he might have been stabilizing, and then Druid's like, oh, you dealt with almost everything. Just have to make sure that tempo mage just only top decks blanks from that point on, because it still can hit like the mana worms and like more useless stuff.
It reminded me a lot of typical mech mage games, again, especially against Druid, because mech mage is that kind of class that it tries to do a lot of damage to get board control, but Druid eventually will wrestle it back just by the fact that they have more and bigger minions. And Mech Mage is just top decking Frostbolt and Fireball every single turn. It's also interesting how differently this Tempo Mage worked out against Savitz, against his Warrior deck, and versus against Forsen and his Druid deck. In one instance, it was one player, or Lothar, that was just outvaluing his opponent, whereas in this deck, or in this series, Forsen was the one that was just out-tempoing his opponent and going for face all the time.
Yeah, so here we go, Druid versus Druid. Orange gonna try to turn it around one more time. Queuing up Druid. I think we're gonna be seeing this matchup a lot today. We already have. But more importantly, Forsen needs to win this, so that way he can make Frodan 3 for 3. Because then I guess Forsen correctly as well.
Ah, that's true. I went for Orange in this scenario. I mean, I'm not disappointed in who I picked. I still feel like Orange. Well, it is essentially close to a 50-50 at this point. Well, you're certainly more confident.
You know what? I should have picked Forsen all the way, now that I think about it, because Forsen can beat Dog as well.
Yeah, how great would that be if Forsen went all the way?
I think that'd be pretty awesome indeed.
But we usually actually do see Forsen going, like, he's an all-or-nothing player. He either goes 0-4 or he goes 4-0 in tournaments. Oh, one player has Wild Growth, the other player has Emperor Thurzane, which is more relevant.
I don't know. Would you keep Emperor Thurzane in your opening hand because of how high of an impact it can have in the mid-game?
I think it's possible in other matchups, but because Druid is such a tempo versus tempo-based matchup, maybe just chuck it away. Like, perhaps against Warrior, maybe you could afford to keep it.
That's a good point. Also, another thing is, Pilot Shredder is also a card reasonable to keep too. So you don't want to keep the Emperor and like, you know, the Pilot Shredder if you just want to try to push for Wild Growth as hard as you can.
Yeah, both players get pretty good opening starts here.
Orange is the same exact start again. Innervate Shade into Wild Growth. Now, of course, Forsen can retaliate. Oh, man. Now, this is an interesting hand. Now that he has the Emperor Thorzen with the Innervate, how does he plan to budget his mana?
Usually, like, when you innovate out an Emperor Thursday, it's just so much value. Druid is the only class that can do that. And wow, we actually don't see a Shade or a Pilot Shredder on the first turn. Very respectable.
Forsen, looks like he's getting a little salty again.
Forsen is holding.
What's so perfect is that there's a Pilot Shredder too for Orange, so he's got the perfect curve.
It is actually the dream. Wow, so actually going to be... I think Forsen is going to go for as quick an Emperor Thorzen as possible.
But he does have some ways to win the tempo back. Reducing everything just by 1 is still a pretty big deal.
I think you can afford to just let the Shade go in this circumstance.
You mean attack, right?
Yes.
I think, yeah, letting him attack. He's going to be on 3 mana. Like, Shade would still be a reasonable threat.
The only really response is the Keeper of the Grove, and you still have the Pilot Shredder, which trades into the Keeper very well.
Well, there's going to be some pretty cheap cards here. And Forsen is going to try to drop this Emperor. But will it have the promised huge impact? Maybe. If Forsen picks up Innervate, he can Innervate Dr. Boom next turn.
Also, like it's all really about what Orange top decks here, and it's a Wrath.
It's not bad. You can Wrath for 1, trade in the Pilot Shredder, drop the Shade of Naxxramas.
Yeah. Keep the Shade alive.
This is almost like unstoppable draws here from Orange. It's like everything almost perfectly on curve.
No!
Oh!
Orange
Put
get
your
points.
Shredders in the... I hope an adjacent minion comes out.
Aw.
It's like just to reinforce it, man. You got to. Wow, Forsen already might be looking at death because everything's just too expensive and too late to play. That Shade is out of control.
Yeah, Orange even still has the Forced Major in his hand as well.
That's really painful. Oh, it's just not that type of game.
Yeah. I think
Short of a mind control tech, I don't really see a way for him to climb back on the board. Maybe some redemption from the Pilot Shredder?
come on, third Doomsayer of the day, perhaps?
Third Doomsayer? Cobalt Geomancer, not going to really do anything. And Forsen's dead, so that wraps up game 3 very quickly, within 3 minutes. And I think that's just representative of, like, just, you know, many ways that you can get tempo. Innervates the Wild Growths into the curve.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know any class that can stop that, really. The only thing that you could have done is if you were facing a mage and then he flame canned the Shade of Naxxramas.
Or Arcane Missiles, for example.
Arcane Missiles, or Flame Waker into coin Arcane Missiles.
Yeah, that is the dream doing 5 damage. Or no, 7
6.
damage.
Yeah, you're right. 7 damage. 7 damage. Would have been crazy. But that wraps up game 3. Orange takes it with his Druid, so Forsen has to defeat Rogue with Druid and Hunter. Definitely doable. Pretty hard, though.
Yeah, especially possibly Face Hunter. Well, we know it's going to be a Face Hunter from Forsen against the Rogue that Orange definitely likes.
All right. Well, it's doable, as Monk says, but it's going to have to overcome a lot. The Rogue versus the Hunter. Looks like the Hunter has spread to Monk's lungs at this point.
Yeah, I'm just getting the cancer
It's fatal,
right there.
too. It's fatal. Monk has 3 months to live.
Oh, no. I have 3 turns to live.
What are you going to do with those 3 turns, Monk? He's going to hold his cough button and try to survive as long as possible. Monk will remember you, rip.
It's all right. Well, we'll still have
I mean,
other monks in
realistically,
this world.
we will have other monks, unfortunately. Not everyone
Maybe
will
the monk
respect
class.
you. Huh?
The monk class will be released, and my memory will go
Oh, in your
spirit.
memory. That's
Yeah.
cool. What would the hero power be then?
The hero power would be summon additional monks /trumps /amazis.
Oh, man. He really is dying.
Yeah, exactly. It's this hunter is getting to me. And hopefully
is.
it won't get
It
to
is.
Orange's road.
Stage 3.
Are we that
There's
deep?
no hope, man.
Are we
But don't
that
worry.
deep?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that Liquid Hearth will update around the same pace with or without you.
True.
That
That's
one
fair
hit right
enough.
here.
Oh man, it hit my heart. All right.
Got him. That was just shots fired for anyone who actually knows and follows the community scene in that forum side. Game number 4 will be the Rogue versus the Hunter. We saw this matchup earlier today with Dog versus Nadia. It definitely went over towards it definitely went over towards Dog's way when he was playing the Hunter, but it's still doable. You know, it's not impossible for the Rogue to win. Just needs to relieve himself of the pressure. Yeah.
Speaking of pressure, yeah. So basically, what we saw from Nadia previously was Violet Teacher into prep into Blade Flurry, and that's the kind of tempo plays that you need to get back into the board. In combination with like a follow-up of an oil later on, you just need to burst Hunter out of the game because
race him.
Yeah, race him because you won't win the long game. The hero power is too impactful, and a Rogue doesn't really have the tools to heal up every single turn.
And with his dying wish, Monk would wish that Forsen would even up the series, right?
No, I wish actually Orange will win because I.
Oh, you predicted him. All right.
Exactly.
So with Monk's dying wish, he would even out the entire prediction score between the casters here, make it 2-2. Let's go into Game 4 in just a sec here. I just want to remind you guys that the prediction brackets have closed, but for any of those lucky few who did get to contribute, you have to get every single prediction correct to win $10,000. Pretty fun stuff. I think it's in the spirit of March Madness because the basketball tournament is going on or about to wrap up, and they definitely want to see if that can carry over to the fans. So make sure to let them know that you enjoyed it as we get ready. Orange is getting a surprise visitor, but it won't distract him.
You're about to get backstabbed.
Hey, Orange, I'm drafting an arena deck, and I'm 29 cards in. All right, Forsen, he's going to have to really blitz this Rogue down. He gets Leper Gnome off the draw. That's really good to start things off.
Yep. Actually, I'm really liking Orange's hand in this matchup. Not only do you have like some answers with the backstab, but you also have the Violet Teacher. And like I said, Violet Teacher is that card that you need to get back on the board with, and in combination with something like the coin or preparation plus another spell,
it's just
you
really
can afford
painful.
to race.
No sap.
Sap is actually it's really bad in this matchup, but in this scenario it might not be too bad because you can like get rid of the Mad Scientist and force him to replay it again. It also is a counter to Quick Shot.
Quick Shot? Oh, to put the card back in the hand.
Yeah.
Oh, assuming they don't have enough mana to play it otherwise. Animal Companion, right on curve. Things are looking out for Forsen. And it's a Huffer.
Of course it's a hover. What else could it be, right? Especially since the backstab was just...
That's a backstab.
That's
Violet
gonna be
Teacher
great.
and backstab. It's funny because I really like the fact that Blizzard poke fun at themselves and wrote in their April Fool's patch notes who said, fix the bug where Animal Companion didn't summon Huffer.
Was this actually a misplay? Yeah, Orange just face-palmed. I think he definitely misplaced. He needed to attack there first.
Oh, yeah, with the trap. Uh-oh. That's bad news.
He's going to get punished a lot with that
Actually,
with
that's
that
a
bow.
lot of damage. Ooh.
That's at least 3 more damage, and it's not only 3 damage to Orange's face, but it's also going to be 1 less damage to Forsen's face because that Violet Teacher token would have, well, it was still going to trade in anyway, but yeah.
Does that cost him the game, actually? Wait, shouldn't he?
So he's not going to, he's going to hold still.
Yeah.
So yeah, he missed 3 damage here, essentially.
Oh, man, that's just like another... That's just like all the damage in the world that he needs. The Eagle Horn Bow and the second explosive trap. I think this game is almost going to be over unless Orange just picks up Farseers and Oils from this point on.
Well, there's 1 Farseer and there's 1 Oil, but like
so
the thing is with 2 Violet Teachers, when you oil, you're probably not going to have the oil stick to the creature that you want.
Yeah, and also another problem is that the more minions he puts on with the double Violet Teacher is more Hounds for the Unleash.
Yeah, the tokens actually don't matter at all because there is the Unleash and there's the Explosive Trap as well.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But if it ends up building and holding,
Okay, so explosive trap, attack, and you're looking at pretty much lethal next turn, no matter what. Like any spell that your opponent casts will give you like you have lethal now, but even if he heals, any spell that you're in addition to that healing, that Forsen, that orange will cast will give you lethal.
just trying to think of the possibility of, you know, like, does low Theb stop it, or does any other thing? Maybe heal bot if he somehow is running it, but I don't foresee a way. And let's... Uh-oh.
Oh.
Let's also be fair. Okay, looks like it was a spectator DC. Let's be fair. Even if Orange attacked into the trap, that second bow, like, it's almost... See, that one charge doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's the fact that Forsen just needed to draw more damage, and Orange is a little bit passive. So that you know, misplay didn't really cost Orange the game.
Yeah.
It still was going to be a tough position from the beginning.
But yeah, like imagine if he didn't do that, he would get more damage in, and he could have possibly, like, for example, played that oil plus Tinker maybe a turn earlier.
The only way that I foresee he could have done this, because he had 2 oils and he had 2 deadly poisons and an oil. So if he had prep and blade flare with that, that's like an insane amount of damage.
Yeah, but
the problem is divided teachers.
He was hoping for a freezing trap there, but unfortunately he doesn't get it. Yeah, so
Right.
there was kind of a facepalm moment here from Orange. In fact, Orange literally facepalmed.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it probably didn't matter too much.
Yep.
The matchup is really unfavored anyway. It just felt like at that moment, Orange felt like because he had the Valley Teacher into a spell on turn 3, he looked like in good shape because that's probably like the best case scenario for that matchup.
Yeah, and Forsen definitely got the good draws. Turn 1 Leper Gnome, turn 2 Scientist, turn 3 Huffer, and then bows with damage.
That's pretty much the dream.
Yeah. And, you know, there's really nothing that Rogue could do, because I felt like Rogue had a reasonable hand. 2 backstabs with 5 Teacher and the coin, so probably short of a prep fan, it would have been okay. Forsen is going to have to turn this around with Druid. Orange is going to have to close out the series with Rogue. And I'm siding with Orange in terms of being the advantage player here. Having Rogue to finish it off is pretty strong. It's also one of his best classes. If he can avoid small, silly mistakes. And more importantly, Orange is an emotional player. So if he gets in his own head and gets exasperated based off of you know, his own mistakes, it is a possibility that Orange mentally psychs himself out here.
Yeah, I feel like the exact opposite actually about Forsen. He's not too much of an emotional player. He just kind of does his own thing. He knows that there will be future tournaments later on. So even if he loses now, then so what? I guess he's already kind of proven himself. He didn't go like something this tournament. So I think he'll be pretty
it's
happy
a close
about
series,
that.
man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, maybe not the closest games. The past 2 games have been really one-sided. Druid winning really convincingly.
Yeah.
Hunter winning really convincingly. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, still pretty good.
Yeah, that Majors Druid game definitely is the highlight so far. Going into the game number 5, though, I have to say that I feel like Rogue is in a really overwhelming favorite.
You say that, but I heard a lot of differences between opponents, like between players.
Right.
I think actually most players say that Druid is favored slightly in that matchup. But
Wow.
Druid will certainly be favored because Orange for the 3rd game in a row.
No, this is Forsen.
Forsen?
Forsen's on Druid. Orange's on Rogue.
Okay.
But Druid
Druid
for the third time
game
in a row.
Yeah.
Starts with Innervate Shade into into Wild Growth. Orange, we don't know his hand exactly yet. We'll get
Still kind of
just
just
a second,
staring
but
at his collection a bit.
It's kind of like watching Forsen laddering at this point. So I guess we just need a couple of donations from Sambul and a couple of bad remixes, and we're set.
Wow, bad remixes? These are epic. I don't know what you're
They're
talking
not good,
about.
Monk. They're not good at all. Oh, Drew the Claw. That's perfect for the curve if he wants to use the coin.
Yeah, why not?
Only thing of why not is that he can save the coin for something else.
What do you really want to save the coin for, though? I'm not really sure.
So if he draws into the Emperor next turn, he can use the coin for that.
That's true.
If he... Yeah, I guess Ancient of Lore, you just innervate. Actually, you're right. Like, what do you save the coin for, generally speaking? There's only one instance that you want to
The
save
Emperor,
it for.
or I don't know if people
Sylvanas?
even play Sylvanas now these days. Do players?
They should.
Yeah. Do the players play double 6-drop? Not entirely sure. Oh, that's interesting. Interesting trade there, certainly. So, but now a Fan of Knives will get a lot of value.
Yeah. Or you can
or
just SI.
Yeah, SI is probably better.
SI challenges it pretty well.
It's just normally like you don't see Fan get that much value in this matchup, so that would be a
Right.
nice surprise.
I wonder what he was playing around, because he wanted to trade into that Farseer. It's 4 mana, so maybe like...
He wanted his Druid the Claw to survive at all costs, because if the Earthring Farseer were still alive, it'd just be way too easy for the Druid to die.
Yeah. That's... The Druid the Claw is the future. Shave Next Rammus is history.
It's like our children. They are the future.
Wow, Monk. You're thinking... You're scaring me a little bit, man. Stop talking nonsense. Does he attack this Druid? It's asking for a lot of damage on the other end. Whoa, man.
Yeah.
It's asking for 12 damage.
The issue if you don't attack is that there's a possibility that your opponent rats your SI agent,
Right.
and then you're going to be still in a lot of trouble. You won't be able to kill the Druid of the Claw
Well, you
the
have
second time.
Eviscerate, but the thing is you don't have enough mana to do that with the Bio Teacher,
Exactly.
so you have to like fan Eviscerate. Man, really uncomfortable stuff.
Oh, prep.
Prep is excellent.
So this is not exactly a turn 4 Violet Teacher prep Eviscerate, but turn 5 is almost as good. The only problem is on turn 6 of your opponent,
yeah.
your opponent can swipe plus hero power in order to fully clear the board, and that is exactly what Forsen has.
Both players are expending an incredible amount of cards from their hands to try to get board advantage. And they're both going to be just holding a few left after this. Initiative does go to Orange, though. We're fishing for the Azure Drake or Sprint. Or
Not Sprint,
now.
not now, but in the future turn.
Maybe Pilot Shredder would be great, too.
So
Almost anything.
Orange definitely needs something at least, and that's not something.
Yikes. Fan of Knives. Van Cleef? Pick up Van Cleef?
Blade Flurry is not good.
And that gives Forsen the initiative. Oh. You got to innovate scenarios, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Drake is a great follow-up, though. And Orange is in trouble unless he picks up Sprint into other things. It definitely can be a game.
Oh, that's almost good.
That's like...
That's good, but it's almost great.
Yeah. That is just so close to being amazing. He's actually 1 mana off from doing a full board clear and just like all-inning. Should he actually hold? No, there's no way. Because I was like, if he holds, he actually does have to clear next turn, and he almost can guarantee whatever comes out next, he can kill. Problem is,
Can he kill it though? Like, if you...
I don't think he can.
Yeah.
He has to go for the board clear instead. He's gonna weapon up afterwards. That's so unfortunate for Orange.
Yeah, and again, it's his proclivity to play rogue every single game.
Mm-hmm.
That's bringing him to this situation.
Proclivity. Oh my goodness. Monk went to Columbia University, everybody. Just want to let everyone know.
That's actually not true, but...
Didn't you?
No, I
Went
went
to Cornell. Oh man, I'm the ultimate insult.
Oh,
I'm
man.
sorry.
What a step
It's
down.
one of those other Ivy League schools in New York. I'm sorry. Glad you made it out okay, though.
Thanks for that. A lot of people don't.
Oh.
Edwin, that's a pretty good draw.
Yeah. Assuming Forsen doesn't just draw the force of nature. All right. Azure Drake number 2 can be big.
You can just play the... Well,
Yeah.
you could have played the Big Game Hunter, but Flighted Shredder is definitely a lot better. The real question is, where does he put this Piloted Shredder?
Ah, you are correct, sir. And the answer is between the Zombie Chow and the Drake on the right. No, don't do it.
Oh.
Forsen.
I think that's like 0 for like 6 or something
Yeah.
today.
Sap is helpful, especially on the Pilot Shredder, but it's Still just only treating the symptoms and not the overall problem. God. Yeah. Trading on, making sure to claim the health from the zombie chow. Killing off the Drake, but you still died to the ultimate combo. As mentioned, Swipe just completely destroys your day. Forsen gets a swipe! Wait, how much damage is that? 4, 9, plus 4.
It's not enough.
It's 16, 17. He was 1 damage off lethal.
Oh
man.
Forsen with the classic VM.
Yep.
Smiling to everyone. look at that grin.
Cheeky little monkey. God. Oh man, he's putting the arms back, feeling pretty good, but I think Orange realizes that that's game.
Yeah.
There's pretty much nothing you can do. Sure, he could survive 1 more turn. But, and, you know, and for good sportsmanship, he should stay in it just in the off chance that his opponent doesn't have it. But looks like Orange is already mentally defeated. As Forsen will Savage Roar and advance 3-2, going to the round of 8 and putting Frodan 3 for 3 in predictions.
Oh no! Now I'm so far behind. I'm now 1 for 3.
Yeah.
Even picking maybe some of the favorites, like probably Savit was favored over Lothar. Orange was favored over Forsen, most would say.
I didn't think so. Forsen's my boy. He's my homie. I'm 3 for 3, and Forsen goes to the round of 8. This is looking good for my 10K, man.
Oh, man. I guess I'm kind of out of the running now because you've just done so much better than me so far.
Well, it's kind of scary because it's like at this point, I'm worried for any kind of upset. You know, I have a Maz over Tides, Firebat over Show, and Hyped over Trump. But I could easily see any of those go in the opposite direction. Like,
especially,
you know,
especially in a game of Hearthstone, anyone can have like a really bad day, no matter how meticulously they prepare.
Forsen boys advance. Dad did it. He's gonna be playing dog. The winner of that goes to this to the finals.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
No, sorry, semifinals.
Semifinals. Yeah, it's gonna be Forsen boys versus Franker Z.
Ah, I like that. I like that. 2 memes collide. Only 1 can exit. Here we go. Looking at the bracket. Reynad, of course, defeated Masan because Masan couldn't make it, so it was a walkover win. And then he awaits the winner between Strivecrow and RDU. And then earlier today, of course, we saw Lothar Savit start off the day. Lothar won. He doesn't have to be back till tomorrow. We have a couple more Europeans. I imagine that they're going to be up in the queue before the NA guys. So my guess is that Show is playing Firebat soon. And then, of course, that would mark us at the halfway point where we have a few more matches to go. I'm having a lot of fun, Monk. How about you?
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with you, even though I kind of tried to die a few moments ago.
Nah, no worries, man. You're still alive. I'll resuscitate you during the break.
Aww.
We want to give a shout out to Xfinity for being able to sponsor this awesome event. You can check out all this stuff at xfinityhearthstone.com. Find out more about their products as well as the tournament information itself. We'll be back after a few minutes with more action here from the ESO Burbank Studios. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just